call of all the board members present. Please say your name for the record.
Carol Foster, present.
Hartley Fleishaw, present. Robert Terry, present. And Jeff is present. Please join me for pledge of allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. I would like to thank all of our veterans and those who are currently serving here and abroad, their families, and those who contribute their time to public service. This meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Town of Townsend YouTube channel. I do not believe I have any additions or deletions. So let's see what we have first.
It doesn't say that they get to
We have Joe Boyle joining. That's the is he confirmed? Yep, okay. So that'll be coming up in a few minutes. Let's go. Do we have the meeting minutes on here? Oh, there they are, 1.4. Okay, so we're going to get a chance to look over the meeting minutes. July 14th and 15th? Yeah. 15th is, I think it's just me, Hartley. The other two gentlemen just work over it. So we didn't have enough to call for them. 14th.
I looked at them.
I don't have any. With me. All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes, July 14th and 15th. Second motion? Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, so Hartley make it and Carol second it. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Joe, how are you? Can you hear? Please unmute, John.
Hi, guys. Nice to see you all again.
Good to see you again. Do we have to wait at all to start with Joe? Sure. Joe, welcome back. Maybe if you don't mind sharing for the board, I know like you and I have talked to your email a little bit, but kind of where we're at MBTA-wise.
Oh, okay. You've done all the preliminaries? I'm on.
We've done the preliminaries, and you're up.
All right. So we finally heard back from the got the response letter from the state, and they identified a couple of issues. Neither of them are that bad, though. First, one thing they identified, they've been flagging this on a lot of towns. They have language often in their definition of family, which limits the number of unrelated people. You did not have that in your definition of family. However, you have similar language in your definition of dwelling unit. So we're going to have to modify that. Your definition of dwelling unit currently in your zoning ends with comma, but not more than 5 persons unrelated by blood or marriage. Zoning laws like that have been ruled unconstitutional and in violation of the of state law. And more relevantly for what we're doing here, they are non-compliant with MBTA communities. It's viewed as interfering with the regulation about subject for families. So I'm proposing in what I've sent you, it's the very top item, is one more amendment on the on the items to implement it, is just striking that language.
That takes care of it?
Yeah, that'll take, yeah, we'll be good with just that.
Yep.
So you guys have in front of you the proposed bylaw amendments?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
They raised a question, a technical question about our modeling, and that's all taken care of. Basically, the question they raised, the issue they raised was the way their model works. They need to have an area of the district that is drawn that includes some public right of way, so that it can then calculate the area of that right of way and then fill in a number in its calculations. And if there's literally no right of way included, then it can't work. So they need, when drawing the boundary for the purpose of the modeling, to reach out and grab a little bit of the public right of way. We have clarified that the modeling that we submitted to them does include some of the right of way along Route 13, and they realize that it's okay. So that one is now all set. Number 3, they suggested removing the term compliance, the definition compliance guidelines from the definitions that are being added. There are no longer compliance guidelines, as you might remember from the lawsuit and its outcome. The guidelines have been reissued as actual state regulations. And in addition, we never use language naming compliance guidelines or the state regulations anyway. So it doesn't really never needed to even really be in there in the first place. And the 4th item on the letter is about the site plan review. Now, this is kind of standard language that they send out to everybody on their site plan review. I first saw it when I was working on Leominster's MBTA Communities Act, which was due a year before yours. And I saw that language and panicked and thought, oh my God, we're going to have to go in and revise the whole site plan section. And I spoke to them at that time, and it turned out that no, that's not what this note means. The language in this note is a reminder, an exhortation to the town and to the planning board about the application of site plan approval. Make sure you're not using site plan approval as if it's a special permit. Make sure you're not using your site plan approval to impose burdensome standards that make development impossible, or a particularly burdensome application process to scare off developers, the way, you know, some 40B projects will go a year and a half, 2 years in front of a planning board. That's not really language about anything needing to change in the bylaw. It's just a reminder to use site plan approval as site plan approval. It does not require any changes in the bylaw. So I didn't make any changes in the bylaw. I'm just explaining this, passing on this exhortation to the state.
So, in the event there's a site plan presented, what role does the planning board have in the site plan review anyway?
Oh, it's the normal site plan review process that that communities have been going through and have been doing for decades. They're not normally reviewing something under site plan review. They're comfortable with. They don't want people to take their site plan review authority and use it in an abusive manner. But site plan, ordinary regular site plan review, make sure the driveway is laid out, have a street tree here, be better if you move the curb cut 40 feet to the west, things like that.
Okay. All right. I wanted to be sure.
Yes. Yeah, I realize that language on that item looks scary, doesn't it? It's not, the first time I saw it, I thought my Leominster project was dead in the water. It's not as bad as it looks. It's okay.
All right.
All right. So, if we are okay with, if is there anything else about the letter and about my proposed responses to the letter?
Not that I'm hearing, Joe.
Okay. Okay. I have one more thing I want to bring up, but before I do that, I want to give the board an opportunity. If you have, you got anything you wanted to ask me, or is there any other discussion that you wanted to have coming in?
I think one of my questions for you, Joe, that I did share via email and I'll share with the board is, I had sent Joe and Beth a message thinking that it might be valuable to try to create what type of tax revenue a project like this could bring in, just for when we get to the point of, and like, with a background in economics, I recognize that's like a sticky wicket. Like, you could project anything,
Mhm.
based on, there's so many different variables there, but I think it could be compelling when we get to town meeting and just saying to the public, this is maybe, if we can come up with something, what we could expect. But I don't know if Joe, I wanted to ask you, Joe, if you had if that's a thing you could put together, or if you've done that, or,
We
what your
haven't.
thoughts.
And my thoughts on that are that if the board and if the proponents were to bring up that point about tax revenues, the opposite side would be, okay, well, did you calculate the expenses? Did you
Sure,
estimate how many new kids would be put into the schools?
sure, sure.
Now, and I feel that that's an argument that, frankly, that this is a topic that is worth discussing, especially because we are in a position where we should be where people's minds can be put a little bit at ease. The fact that this is multifamily housing means a lot fewer kids per unit being put into the schools compared to large lot single family housing. People in 2, even 3 bedroom rental apartments are a lot less likely to have 4 or 5 kids in there than people who have a large single family home. And we did a study on this actually when I was working in the city of Lowell, and the numbers are dramatically different. In addition, the state itself did some work and found that for various reasons, even looking at single family homes, housing units are putting fewer kids into the schools than they were even 20 or 30 years ago. Something like a quarter fewer kids. It's just that families are smaller and there's a larger percentage of these homes that are occupied by non-parent families, either older people or couples who don't have kids. So look, I feel like the fiscal argument is not a selling point for the MBTA Communities Act for communities. That we can be ready. It's a good idea for people at town meeting to be ready to discuss it. And
Sure.
I've got some studies and stuff that I could share with you, but I strongly advise against trying to use revenues as a selling point because I fear of it blowing up in our face.
Sure, so I think
I
there's
was just gonna say, with the new housing, of course, we'll have new, property tax revenues, will we not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So
yes. There is absolutely, yes, there would be an increase in tax revenues from the construction.
Robert.
One of my objectives here is not just the technical requirements that have to be achieved, but the quality of housing that will be delivered, okay?
Mhm.
And I don't mean in terms of material quality. I mean in terms of social quality. And so when we say, personally, I don't want whoever developed this, to create a bunch of boxes that limit people's identity and does not allow for access to outdoor space. So one of the things we've been talking about in this board in terms of our bylaw are requirements that every unit has access to a private outdoor space, whether that be a patio or a deck. I think that's a human element that needs to be considered. And the other thing is, I understand 1 and 2 bedroom units, but there is a large percentage of those types of units available. So to me, to have a matrix of different unit sizes would be desirable rather than have a repetitive unit over and over. And that way we could make housing available for more family profiles. And that's what my major concern is. And if you listen to the lay people on the street, they all talk about not having a project in terms of what they, may envision mentally that this will be. So in our bylaw, excluding this special district, we have been incorporating wellness philosophy in terms of, lifestyle and quality of life in the units. And so I don't know, I don't feel confident that what we're doing now addresses that adequately. And if the state will find that acceptable, I would think that the idea of requiring multi-units diversity in terms of size, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, on a social aspect would be very desirable and appeal to more family prototypes. So I can't imagine that they would object to that. And then in terms of these new citizens that are going to be in our community, we want them to be happy where they live. And that having access to an outdoor space, I think, is a big impact, and particularly it becomes a seasonal living room for many people. So those kinds of things I would like to see, that at least we're, as a board, looking out for the interests of the future occupants. And to me, happier people in their unit, whether it's a multifamily unit or a single family or a duplex or what, is what we want for our people in town. We want them to be welcome members of the community and participants in the community and not be labeled in any way, like, based on a specific category or family profile.
If I could pick up on that, would we as a board or someone else have an input as to the architecture of these buildings?
Well, that's another concern too.
Right, yeah, because I think that would tie into what you're saying, both the architecture and the layout of the grounds, so there would be sufficient space for outdoor activities. I mean, I don't know in terms of how big the yards would be, but of course we are proud of our status as a green town.
Mhm.
And I think these days, taking into account the health of the residents and exactly what would be a healthy, happy architectural layout of these buildings, I think that should be considered as well.
Right. From my perspective, it's not we certainly have a housing crisis and we have to meet that need. But in that intent, not to abandon the needs of the occupants.
Mhm.
And And so, you know, having some control on the architect. In other words, most developers that come before us, their objective is very clear. The maximum number of units possible in any program. And whether they don't care who lives in them, it's a matter of what kind of zoning they can get that's beneficial for that particular project. And so we've seen that with housing for the elderly and different kinds of prototype projects.
So Robert, I'm not trying to cut you off, but I want to make sure we stay on track time-wise.
Right.
And give.
Well, I just want an answer to that question. Do we have those provisions available to us in here?
I heard a couple of topics brought up. The unit size mix and access to outdoor space.
And
and architecture too. Okay. On the
Yeah.
units size mix question, I have not seen any towns do that, but I really fear that I don't think it would be acceptable to the MBTA Communities Office. I fear that their reasoning would be you don't actually have the by right status to build multifamily housing if you don't have the by right status to build 4 2-bedroom units. You know what I'm saying?
No.
That if we have laws that require somebody who builds 4 units to have at least 2 of them be 3 bedrooms, I don't think they'd consider that legal. I think they'd say you've taken away the by right status. You're not allowing people to build multifamily by right. Certain multifamily projects are no longer by right. I haven't seen this question put to them specifically, but based on my experience, I fear that would be their reaction. I know that they're not allowing people to go in the other direction. Some communities in towards Boston might have wanted to limit apartment sizes to only 1 and 2 bedrooms in order to prevent them from being useful units for families with kids who might live there, which is like what I just said about apartments. Obviously, if you're right in towards Boston in the more urban areas, that's less true, and there are more families renting housing in multifamilies. And so there might have been communities out there that wanted to put a cap on the unit size, and the MBTA is not allowing that. So don't think they'd allow it to go the other way either.
All right, well, this is very critical here, okay? First of all, on the counter side of that argument of what their position is, to make different housing units available for different family profiles should be something that the Commonwealth should seek, okay? And not have a prototype applicant for any particular unit, A. 2, the Commonwealth as well should be pursuing quality of life in these units. And 3, the architecture, by having a variety of unit types, the architect most probably will be diversified as well. So I personally am very strong on those 3 topics. And
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Lori.
can you hear me? I'm sorry. I have to go into the water department soon, but I just wanted to make this point because I haven't heard it, if you don't mind.
Sure, please.
MBTA communities. This is coming about because they want things or homes that are closer to proximity of the MBTA. So in other words, I thought one of the reasons for this was commuting to Boston, commuting to their places of work where they couldn't afford to live where they worked. Did I miss that point totally?
That isn't totally wrong. The MBTA Communities Act, I think the name's a little misleading. It makes it sound like the goal is to promote transit-oriented development. It's not a transportation program. It's not even really a transit-oriented development program. It's a housing program. Now, in some states, California and Vermont, they have similar situation to where we are in Massachusetts, with a serious shortage of housing, and in particular, a serious shortage of rental housing. And so they responded by getting rid of the single family only district. There are no longer suburban zoning districts in which you're only allowed to have a single family home. You have to allow up to 4 families on lots out there. Now, that might be a good idea in a very rural place like Vermont. I don't think it's a good idea for California, because you've got that auto-dependent suburban sprawl type of development that's already overloading the roads, and now you're just bumping up the same number of units that are all auto-dependent, spread all across, and putting all of the cars on the roads. I think the intent of the legislature in passing this law was to address the housing shortage, address the rental housing shortage, especially in the suburbs, in a way that wouldn't have such a heavy transportation impact, in a way that would lead to more of the residents of the new units using transit and using the MBTA, and not only having to drive anywhere. So that's why it's called the MBTA Communities Act, because they limited it to communities that have an MBTA station or are right next to a community with an MBTA station. So so getting people to use the MBTA was kind of a secondary objective of the bill, because of the potential negative effect of doing it the other way.
Well, I'm
Does that
still
answer the
stuck
question?
on the same subject: architecture, family profile, and
Yeah.
wellness. All right.
So let's get back.
I was gonna say, do you see any, I know this discussion has come up in the past as we worked on this at different times, I believe it has, but I don't know, I can't remember the exact resolution we did or didn't come to when this did come up, but is there any way that we can attempt to incorporate some semblance of these? I do think there's, what you're acknowledging, there's only so much we can do when they say they want it by right. It's tough to limit by right as they want it. But, what way could we attempt to do some of this?
Look, I don't think you can mandate a unit mix. Now, I was going to go on to the other subjects about access to outdoor space and about appearance of the buildings and architectural styles. You have a certain amount of influence over that through the site plan approval process. So particularly as I'm doing your next project of the changing your site plan review section, incorporating language which establish standards for site plan review that identify those purposes as goals of your zoning would give you a little bit more flexibility in the site plan review procedures, in the negotiating with the developer about what the town wants to see. I would suggest rather than incorporating rules, regulations into the MBTA Communities Act zoning itself here, to address it that way, and when we rewrite your site plan approval.
Okay. So we can address these topics in terms of the site plan review.
Yes, to an extent. You do not have all the hand you'd have over these questions if this was by special permit. But you do have some hand in negotiating with developers under site plan approval. Now, especially things, the second one you brought up about outdoor access and access to green space, I think that could be written in a way that would be fairly robust and that developers would have to take that into account into their design.
Well,
Architecture, man, having some language about architecture, it can't be too tight. It can't be too prescriptive, or that will. I've discovered, or that won't fly with the MBTA Communities Office. But having some standards in there about what you want to see can increase your hand during the site plan approval process.
okay, so what has been presented to this board was this outdoor space concept. And we had a minimum square foot standard of 80 square feet. So if
For what?
per unit,
Is this one of the letters you shared with the board?
yes, it was.
Okay. I'd have to relook at that, but keep going, Robert.
And so, I would like to see that as a prerequisite in meeting the site plan review requirements. So whether it's landscape patio below, or an outdoor porch, or a balcony, I'm not trying to control what profile it should take, okay? But I think it's important. And then as far as the architecture, I don't think we want to dictate the architecture, but a general phrase such as similar to existing structures within the community.
Mm.
And that works well for Cambridge as well as it does for Townville. And so I don't see why that's an objectionable thing. And it's something, and I also feel, this was forced upon us. And they are very reluctant to give us anything that we would like to see. And that brings a lot of resentful people and voters. And so I don't want to be in front of a town meeting and have these topics come up about architecture and about what size units are going to be there without feeling confident and I can endorse it. And so that's the object here. I'm not trying to strangle people or burden the developers, but
So Robert, if you don't mind, I'd like to take a minute and just hear Carol's thoughts and Hartley's thoughts. And then I think we've got your point down, and just hear from the rest of the board and then see if Joe has any more thoughts.
No, I like the idea of the outdoor space. It would be nice to have something that's architecturally, I agree with you, if it was like kind of picked up the architecture of the surrounding communities rather than those brick square boxes that we have in town that are all ugly. But it can be done because I've seen, these kinds of townhomes or apartments that kind of blend in with the historic architectural design, to make it look more like a house with many units. I mean, it can be done. But can we force it? That's the problem.
So,
Joe, if you don't mind, I'd like to hear Hartley's thoughts.
I totally agree with Robert and Carol. I think that, yeah, we should try to incorporate, um, structures that are consistent with what we are having already here in Townsend, and also incorporate, the consciousness in terms of, it being a healthy place to live, and, you know, in terms of enough green space, enough fresh air, and also, you know, keeping in mind, necessities for the house. These will obviously not be any, these will be no frills situations, but we should also make sure that, they are put together in a way that, enable, you know, convenience, safety, livability on a long-term basis. And I think if we can incorporate those things into this whole matter, I think we will have what we want.
Sure.
I mean, some of the supporting arguments here is, first of all, almost on every multifamily project that I've witnessed in this, as my experience on the board here, pretty much has been a product of another building that was built in another community. It's, they want to recycle the plans that they already paid for. That benefit doesn't show up to the buyer, okay? If there was an economic benefit that you could say that it makes sense, but it doesn't. The buyer never benefits from the money savings of using an existing drawing, okay? Secondly, we have to think about the people that live in here. So we don't know who they are, okay? Some of them can be young married people that have a baby while they're living there. And they might have thought of it as to start a home, but now they have a child here. And if you brought up a child, sometimes you need to get out of the house for a minute to take a break. And so it's the human element of this that I'm concerned about. And
So Robert, I just want to share my thoughts, and then I want to turn it over to Joe. I think what I've heard Joe sharing about, you know, I feel like I agree with them, and maybe we need a legal opinion, but I struggle to think we would be able to, really dictate the variability in size, even though the way the plan, or the way we have it set up, it provides for the option to have variability in size. And then the other is, I think what I've heard Joe saying is trying to solve these problems through the special permit process opposed through from the bylaw of the MBTA.
My response to this, okay, let's put it in there, let them reject it. And then if it comes up at town meeting, I could say they rejected
But I
it.
think, I don't want to turn it over to Joe too, because I know he has a lot of thoughts, but I think by doing it in the special permit process overall, I think that would give us more latitude for
Site
any
plan
other.
approval.
Or site plan
Site plan
approval,
approval.
you know, anything else that comes up or comes towards us.
But can that be done in site plan approval, those three elements?
Yes, each of them to an extent. It's once again, it's site plan approval, not special permit, so your hand is less. But each of them to an extent, yes, we can write standards, and we can be careful with them, and you will have a certain amount of ability to influence the developer through that. On this topic, there's one other concept that I'd like to bring up here. Developers like certainty. Developers like to go in knowing what the town wants. And so this is a one parcel district. There's one potential owner, one potential developer to worry about here. And so the production of standards that the town would like to see, the production of a vision of what the town would like to see there. You know, if the town produced that and was able to give it out to a developer when they came in the first time, and the developer could know, if I do this, I'm definitely going to get my site plan approval real fast. That could, you know, carrots helps too. And especially where you only have the one parcel. And so you're probably only talking about doing this once. The town might be in a position to exert further influence over the ultimate development by being proactive in that manner.
So Joe, what I'm understanding, you know, that sounds like something that would be in Beth's office, and that if Beth were to be approached by a potential developer, she could, for lack of a better word, have a one-page statement from
Yep.
us that says, you know, those are the bylaws, you know, these are the main things that are most
Yep.
important to us.
Maybe with some pictures, maybe with some drawings if you're really concerned about visual things. And you know, in Beth's office, yes, it's good to have Beth's office for when an applicant comes in, but there's one owner, and you know who he is. So perhaps the town could even be more proactive than that and sit down with this property owner once this is passed and talk about these things.
I don't want this challenge. Do you understand? This really has to be embedded in the requirements as
Yeah, okay.
not a subjective thing.
Yeah, okay, so yeah. I know.
So if it's in the requirements for site plan review or site plan, yeah, then that was a requirement. And when
Okay.
the applicant comes in, if it didn't meet it, then he has to resubmit.
Yes, that's exactly true with a little asterisk on the word it. Exactly what it that can go into these requirements and will be enforceable and will stand up under the MBTA Communities Act is not the entirety of what you'd be able to put in if they were special permit regulations. Okay, so there's a certain amount that we'd be able to put in on each of these topics that would be hard and fast requirements. There's a certain amount that would be guidelines and things for you to take into account and to influence the developer in the specific over the course of the specific site plan approval permitting process. I mean, we can do these things. We can do a certain amount in hard black and white text, certain amounts as guidelines to go through the process, and then a certain amount even less formally than that in pre-development conversations or outreach to property owners and things. We should think about it as a three-pronged approach.
So Joe and Robert, just on a practical matter, this has already been submitted for pre-approval or approval. If there were to be any changes, I anticipate it would have to be resubmitted and reevaluated by EHOL.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to do a formal, another formal one. The time's too tight. We're not going to be able to submit another pre-approval compliance review and have them do the whole review. So I'm in a position to be able to run a couple of ideas by them for minor changes, but
So we've been
we
working.
kind of have to finish
all-
off unless you want to bump your timeline. If you're bumping, going back for another pre-application review for sizable substantive changes is going to require that we bump the timeline for town meeting.
Let me toss a couple of concepts to you, okay? Instead of having a minimum square footage requirement, how about just a generic requirement for an outdoor space or a unit? Okay? That might
Yes.
be easier, all right? Holly already suggested about compatible architecture existing within the community. Sounds like a reasonable thing that can be done. And the other question is, the diversity in unit profiles, family profiles. So, I'm really upset because we've been working on this for 2 years now, and the same subjects have come up several times. And, so, you see, when you're a member of a planning board, you're trying to do your best for your community, and you try to predict the future, and you want to be as comprehensive as you can be. And that's what this is all about. And I don't care what the community votes, pray and nay on this district or not, but I certainly want them to be aware. And I want to be prepared to address any of these topics if they come up on the floor. Not that I'm going to tell them what I think or how I think they should vote or what they should consider, but be prepared to show them the full transparency of what this is all about. And that's where I'm at. I don't want to be embarrassed up there.
So, Robert, I think this will be a difficult I mean, this has proven difficult in a variety of communities across the state to pass at times. This has, in some communities, gone over very easily. I have no idea how it'll go over in Townsend. I am personally, mentally trying to prepare for the worst, that it will be challenged and challenging,
Well,
but we don't know. And I think
Well, you could hope, you could hope that
I'm not going to be here around in the future to begin with, but personally, I think I presented some very legitimate concerns. And I think that when this comes to town meeting, it's not going to be settled in one day. I think there are really going to be a lot of questions that we have to respond to. And the worst thing that happens at a town meeting is the minute that the governing body that's presenting an article, no matter what it is, doesn't have an answer, the thing fails.
so. I think there's a few ways. The way that you're pushing and proposing would be to have it in the bylaw.
Yes.
I think what Joe has identified rather early on is to put what we can in the site plan approval process. And whether that will be acceptable or
Can
not.
that be done?
Can these items be put into the bylaw?
Into the site
the
plan
site-
approval
because
process?
Yes, into the
bylaw-
into site plan approval standards, absolutely. I think that's your answer when if people bring up these issues, that we have another process going to reform the site plan review section in the zoning. And
Yeah, but
as
that
we
has to
do
be-
that, we are very much going to be taking this consideration into account and writing up site plan review guidelines to address these exact topics of the architecture, open space, and what was the third one? Oh, certainly the architecture and open space. The third one, the unit mix. Listen, I don't think we can put that one into site plan review at all. Talking about, I don't think that's going to fly, but I'm only moderately confident in that assessment. I haven't had a conversation about this topic with the MBTA Communities Office. It might be, ultimately what you said, Robert, they're on board with that. They would very much agree with the vision of, we want to make sure some of these units are large enough to potentially be family sized. That's why they put that language suitable for families with children in the MBTA Communities Act. Now,
No.
but what you're allowed to do to require it, rather than just not getting in the way of it, but not forbidding it, but what you're allowed to do to require that is an open question.
So Joe, would you be
I'd
able
like to go back to them with.
Yeah, could you please check on that? And I do want to be mindful of our time, and I don't want this discussion to derail too much.
Okay.
I think the points have been I think, Robert, your points have been made. I think the board largely agrees within reason. I believe that, and I know we have discussed this at past board meetings, especially while we've been working on this. And I suspect that what we decided was that we were interested in including that in the site plan approval process. That's what I feel like I recollect.
Okay.
So I'd like to go forward with that. And Joe, Joe, when you asked us if there was anything else, and then we went on a 40-ish minute diatribe here, I felt like you might have had something that you were going to bring up that I'd be interested in.
I do. Westminster has based their MBTA communities bylaw on this, on yours. So it's very similar, including the second ramp for the small lot, single and two family homes. Their town council flagged something. You know, the simple majority requirement. The simple majority requirement for passage, instead of the normal 2/3 vote for a zoning amendment, this can pass by simple majority. The reason it can pass by simple majority is because of something called the Housing Choice Act. The Housing Choice Act designated that certain types of zoning amendments that are done for the purpose of promoting housing can pass by simple majority instead of 2/3 votes. And the one that the MBTA Communities Act leans on is language that says amendments that make that authorize the construction of multifamily housing, or that reduce dimensional requirements for the construction of multifamily housing. Now, that second off-ramp, that's reducing dimensional requirements. It's reducing dimensional requirements for single family and two family housing. The town council in Westminster is of the opinion that the single family housing doesn't apply. That reducing the dimensional requirements for a single family home doesn't satisfy the requirements of the Housing Choice Act to pass by simple majority, that has to pass by 2/3 majority. Now, no one else has noticed this before. This is the first time it's come up with us. Your town council didn't flag it. None of the MBTA Communities Office isn't flagging it, although the MBTA Communities Office is only looking for compliance with the MBTA Communities Act. They're not the whole overall. Beth, you're
That's what anchors everybody.
Is Beth here?
Yeah, Beth's here.
Yeah, that's why
Beth,
we
you were getting an informal look taken at this by someone in the at the AG's office. Have you heard back from them?
Not yet. Just the one comment about the stormwater, but that's it. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting on the notes.
And not this. Not
Right.
this issue about the single family thing.
No.
So I really need to throw it to you. There's a chance, and I don't know how big that chance is, that your town council, on taking a last look at this, will say, "Ooh, that single family thing, that's a 2/3 vote, that can't be in here." And there's a chance that that someone down the road could file an appeal on something. This was passed with these single family homes shouldn't be allowed to be built because now, like I said, nobody's flagged it.
Yeah,
This is the first I've heard about this other housing law or whatever you mentioned.
Oh, there's,
Uh,
well,
about
we've
reducing
discussed
the
earlier
size
why
of-
it's simple majority, right? The goal
Oh.
here is to pass this at town, that the MBTA Communities Act can pass town meeting by simple majority rather than
Oh.
2/3. I remember discussing that with you before. So,
Probably early on, maybe. I don't.
yes, early on. It hasn't come up since then.
Sure.
So that's the question. So what they're doing in Westminster, just to be especially safe, is that second ramp with the smaller lots, they're applying it only to 2 families, not to single family homes. Okay? If it was, and I think there was a lot of merit to the idea of also applying it to single family homes. If you were determined that you want it in there, and you do share my concern that this might not go through smoothly and could be a problem in the future, another option would be to pass the MBTA, to pass the multifamily overlay district as I have it written here, and have that that second section with the smaller lots only apply to 2 families. That passes by simple majority. If that gets 50% plus 1, it passes. And then to have a second item on the warrant saying, let's amend the multifamily overlay district we just passed to also allow the single family homes on the lots where we are allowing the 2 families. And that would be a 2/3 vote. That would be an option for, that would be an option for how to approach this at town meeting. I can do whatever you like on this. And I could talk through what would be the best way to do with this.
I would think, unfortunately, that this is a question I feel beyond my skill set, and I would be interested in reaching out maybe with Lori. She might be in the water department meeting now, but we could reach out to town council and just ask their perspective.
Yes,
my mind is going all over the place with this stuff. My first, as a layperson is like, where's the constitutionality of all this? Let alone the sovereign rights of a community. And to apply another standard on a single family home is a real intrusion. And people should be able to have the kind of house they want, small, big, or medium. And you know what I mean? This is so overzealous.
this is just procedural about how to pass the law. This is just about whether it requires a 50% plus 1 or a 2/3 majority.
I want a 2/3 majority.
So look, we've got some options here. Like I said, I mean, the MBTA Communities Office has sent back this letter. So it's compliant. It's MBTA Communities compliant. It's more the Attorney General's office that I might have a problem with.
I mean, if we can, would there be a problem with us deferring this decision for 2 weeks? Would we be able to, if we were to get opinions from town council and potentially nudge the Attorney General who's reviewing this?
Look, it's your timeline. Blowing your timeline is the only reason that might not be a problem. Is there a date for the publication of the ad?
Wait, first of all, this community is familiar with the amount of votes required to pass any article, let alone this specific one.
It does change. It does change
It does.
at town meeting.
Yeah, it's
depending
not
on-
always sometimes it's majority and sometimes it's 2/3, depending on the warrant.
Well,
depending on-
again, don't
So,
you see that
let's-
all becomes a big problem and when you're presenting this at a
Let's
town
just
meeting?
take a minute, right? I want to make sure we're concise and we don't
Okay,
ramble too much. So let's go around. I think I heard you guys say your opinion, but just say yours, Robert, and we'll keep going. We'll get to Hartley.
Okay.
And we'll see
I'm
how that-
sorry, I don't want to dominate this at all.
Where are you at, Robert, with this?
I think it should be a 2/3 majority.
For the whole, so as Joe
It's not.
mentioned, the bylaw itself under the MBTA communities law, the multifamily part has to be a half. It has to be 50.1 plus one. But the sticky part is the inclusion of the single family, which could be,
Why do we have to include single family?
I don't know.
well,
I mean, who put that in there?
no, I believe that we were trying to include it to encourage the variety in that plot.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a reduction in size.
yes, it's a reduction in
So
size. If
how
you
does that help a family of 5?
You want, Robert, right? We're still on you right now, but you want variety in the multifamily overlay district. You want some triple or
Well, people have
Three
3
families.
bedrooms and.
two families, single families.
Right, I do.
And part of that, having one neat bylaw for the town to vote on would say, by right, you can build a three family, by right, you can build a 2 family, by right, you can build a single family.
Right.
Yep.
Yes.
And the reason we adopted this was for that diversity. If you remember, we wanted to give developers options. If they're allowed to build multifamily, but they also have the option, instead of doing a multifamily campus, of doing some small lot 2 families, maybe some small lot single families.
Okay, I remember this now, yeah.
Yeah, and
So
you
that's
remember
what
when
we
we
were
thought we were
talking
going to be
about.
on the really tough
I
site?
know.
Yeah, okay. All
So
right.
that's why you reduce the size.
Yeah,
For singles
Right.
and 2s.
But
Okay.
procedurally, the issue with the bureaucracy of the government
Mm.
is that
okay.
it seems that single families don't have that same by right, like town meeting passing law, they
Okay.
may have to be by 2/3, and that's why we may have to separate them,
Okay,
or choose to go
Okay.
forward.
well,
with
then I
that.
withdraw my opinion.
All right,
on
then,
that.
and we'll just go with whatever it has to be, just make it simple.
Okay,
So
agree,
whatever it
whatever.
has to be. I
Yeah.
strongly recommend writing this bylaw so that it can be passed with a simple majority. That has been what I've been working on from the beginning. It's obviously we have a much greater likelihood of success if we only need 50% plus 1.
Okay.
I hope
go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say look, if board gives me directions to write this bylaw and we're going to bring it to the town meeting and it's got for a 2/3 vote, then those are my instructions and that's what I'll do. But I don't think that's the wisest course.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I remember now going through all that and why we decided that was true.
Yep.
So.
The other issue is that it might not be developable for the multifamily because of the distance to the sewer and the public water supply, and that the town, genuinely acting in good faith, didn't want to just adopt a phony paper amendment that wasn't actually going to make development possible, and giving them the second off-ramp. If multifamily didn't turn out to be feasible, they'd still be able to get some rental housing built on the sites. And, that was very admirable of you to look at it that way, I think.
Okay,
So
I'm sorry.
I think the biggest
I
thing
think we have a consensus,
for
right?
us as a board, so we're gonna work to go through it with a 50 plus 1,
Yeah,
Simple majority.
yeah.
simple majority, which, as Joe has acknowledged, is different than, is it Westminster or Winchendon? The way they're going.
Yeah,
about it?
Westminster has done the same thing. They dropped the single family element so that their bylaw can pass with a simple majority.
But now, are we asking Joe to drop the single family? The single family part has been, I believe, important to us in our discussion. But I guess where I'm at is I don't think we have enough information legally about whether that works or doesn't work.
Well, the
No, we
single
don't.
family is still allowed.
You do. You can keep the single family in and keep it at 50+1?
Oh, no, no, I don't know for
We did
certain,
on picking up 12,
about
right?
that.
District.
I think the district fund is just the bureaucracy part. So then, Joe, you would propose doing two different items on the warrant.
Yes, I would propose what I'm proposing is taking out the single family section from this bylaw so we can pass it with a simple majority. And now, step two, totally up to you. Do you want to have a second zoning amendment to add the single family back in with a 2/2 majority vote?
So I mean, personally, I think I'm actually more interested in it all being one package that gets voted on, but
Okay.
I hear what you're saying. There's a technicality here that goes beyond our skill set as board
Right.
members.
Yeah,
And this
Let's
is where
keep it simple for the community.
yeah.
as in go through as in one,
One.
Yeah,
but that also exposes us as a board and as a town to if that's not legally due to a technicality that I think Joe was saying could be, I don't know, challenged in court if someone doesn't like single families going in there or something.
Well,
Yeah, I'm trying to, let's think about this.
Could it be as simple as just striking single and going ahead with two-family dwellings on this section? I mean.
Oh, yeah,
And then then that would be the, majority vote, but the single-family dwellings would not be
well,
allowed.
I still am confused why there's a difference about the housing, why the vote has to be different.
I think.
I can explain
think-
that.
Okay.
Yes. Why does it have to be
Why
different?
does it
Okay.
have to be different?
Normally, any zoning amendment needs a 2/3 vote.
Okay.
Then they passed a bill that made some exceptions to what needs a 2/3, to zoning that needs a 2/3 vote. There are exceptions for zoning amendments that allow multifamily housing. For example, changing an item on a table of uses from N to Y or from N to special permit. Or another one is changing dimensional requirements, reducing the dimensional requirements in a way that allows multifamily housing to be built.
Okay.
Everything I just said says multifamily housing. They didn't change the law for single family housing. They changed the law for multifamily housing. The reason they did that is because they changed the law in order to promote the development of rental housing. I think that, 4 or 5 or 6 years later, as they're thinking about it, they probably, we could have just said residential there instead of multifamily, but the language is what the language is, and it doesn't apply to it, and it specifies multifamily.
Right, I got it. It's,
Okay.
all right, so we're talking about single family in a multifamily zoning district.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
They
So,
weren't thinking about single
that
families.
makes sense to reduce the size of the units,
Okay.
square footage requirements, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we do want to have that option for single
Yeah.
families within our multifamily district.
Yes.
And so that's going to be voted on as an amendment to
So we get,
what we're doing.
okay.
And then the only question remaining, is it a simple vote or a majority vote?
So I think
Simple.
I'm hearing a strong enough preference from the board that we definitely, and I think personally agree, want that single family by right in there. And
Yes.
as the way Joe has described it to us, I think the soundest course of action based on Joe's experience would be to separate out that single family section.
Yes.
Right.
And it's
Okay.
gonna have to be 2 votes at town
On
meeting.
that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
It would have to be 2/3 vote for that?
the
For
single
the
family
single
section.
family section.
Oh, it's
So
the only way it can be done?
yeah.
He
So
said
we
2
have-
votes. He said 2 votes. He didn't say 2/3 votes. He said 2 votes, meaning it's 2
Right.
separate votes.
One being 50
Right.
plus 1 and
Right.
one being.
Right.
2/3.
But one is a simple majority, right?
Yes, the hard
The other
one,
one is a 2/3 majority.
which everyone will vote for.
which I think
Simple.
making the case when we get to that second vote and saying, hey, we really prioritize diversity in housing types, and this is why we want this.
Yes.
And maybe even when having discussion on, even though I personally would rather have it all in one,
Yeah.
Right, it
it
has
seems
to be.
like we're confined here or constrained, and I think, Joe, that's gonna be I think we as a board are giving you that direction.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do, okay, I'll rewrite this to make it 2 votes.
Separate vote, simple majority.
Close.
Yeah.
Yes, two separate votes, one simple majority, 1 2/3.
2/3, that's right.
Yep.
All right.
So procedurally, do each one of these have to be voted on? There's like 9 different votes
Oh,
for all the amendments that we have to make. You know what I mean?
Joe, for these amendments,
Each one needs a vote, right?
I take it you want us to vote on them?
I don't, look, all of these amendments need to be voted on, but everything that's on this document, I would think would be one lump vote to make these amendments.
2/3
Sorry.
vote for zoning. You're amending a zoning bylaw, so it's 2/3 vote for a lot of these. You're talking about amending section 145.5, that's a zoning bylaw, that requires 2/3 vote. So you've got it all sectioned out anyway. One more thing, it's probably not a big deal.
Everything that is related to passing MBTA's, the zoning amendment that will legalize the multifamily is covered by the Housing Choice Act and is a simple majority vote.
Awesome.
Everything on this page can be, once I remove the single family homes, which are not allowed in there, everything else is part of adopting your multifamily zoning district and authorizing the multifamily zoning. So it would all be simple majority. This is the way all of the bills, all of the MBTA bylaws and ordinances that we've worked on and gotten passed have included things like the definitional changes and other changes in other sections in order to implement it. And it passes, and it's been included in the simple majority vote because it's all being done for that same purpose.
Great, can it all be done?
Important question.
I don't know if anyone.
So-
No, it has to be a separate vote for each.
At the town meeting, each one of these articles has to be voted separately?
It shouldn't.
Okay.
Okay, good.
okay.
That's good.
So
We never get done.
Okay.
Yeah.
it should just be 2 warrant articles, right? It should be the
Yeah.
main one, and then the one that says single family.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All
Right.
right. Good.
All right.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Beth. A lot of these changes being made here don't in and of themselves legalize multifamily housing. But because they're all part of the MBTA communities package doing that, they count.
Okay.
We understand.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Joe, do you have anything else for us or questions for us?
Do I have any other questions for you? No, I do not. That fixing this and then that oh boy, that little last wrinkle, that was my last thing.
Okay.
And I guess being how we started this, and I'll just close the loop on it to get thoughts on the board. I know initially I brought up and we heard Joe's thoughts about estimating an economic value, and Joe recommended not to do that.
Mhm.
I just wanted to hear your thoughts.
I agree, because you can't just do the economic values. You
Sure.
also got to
Figure
consider
out the
the
costs.
costs.
Okay.
And then what's this, and then, you throw this out at the tax,
Sure.
you're just gonna.
Fall down a black hole. Sure.
Yeah, you're gonna go
Okay.
down a rabbit hole, and it's.
Sure.
Hartley, what do you think?
I agree with Carol. We should, and you and Andrew, I think we should keep these, within the confines of what we've been dealing with. And that would be
When it
I think the most sensible situation.
Sure.
Yeah, we gotta keep it simple.
Yes.
And, you gotta pray that you have a quorum for this.
Sure.
Because this is not something that people are riled up against, like their taxes being raised.
Sure.
So people are gonna look at this and say,
Why
what,
does it, how does it affect me
I
or
mean,
whatever?
we even have poor turnout for
Contentious meetings,
contentious, even the override.
sure.
I mean, we had a poor turnout.
Yeah.
Considering how many taxpayers, so
Sure.
we just have to hope that enough people show up to have a quorum
Sure.
to
Yeah.
pass
Okay,
this.
so I think we're aligned then as a board on that. I think we're good, Joe. If you're good with us, I think we're good with you. We appreciate you spending an hour of your evening with us. We always enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. If I could, I just want to go over my marching orders to make sure I've got it. I've got everything. I'm taking single family language out of the existing bylaw and writing the existing amendment proposal. I'm creating a second amendment proposal to add the single family back into it
Right.
to go on the same. As we go forward with the site plan approval project, we are going to incorporate, we're going to be thinking real hard about the multifamily overlay district and writing standards about the issues Robert brought up.
That was it, right?
And that was it. Those were the two. We didn't end
Oh, the
up.
simple, simple majority vote on the, single
and-
family component. Yeah, that wasn't three.
That one's the.
Yes. Oh yeah. I'm gonna see if I can get a we are gonna wait, and this isn't actually an item for me. This was an item on your end. You're going to ask your town council as well as your back channel to the Attorney General's office this question about the single families being in there and if that's going to be a problem. If they both come back and say, don't worry about it, then we probably don't, then we might not even have to do this with the second vote.
Oh,
Beth, would you be
But
able to?
It concerns me.
Okay.
All right, that sounds good.
well, the Attorney General is sympathetic with the governor, so I don't think there'll be a problem.
Sure. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'll let me know if you hear anything on your end about that.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank
Joe,
you.
do you have
Talk to you
any-
next time.
Wait a minute, Joe, you still there?
I am
Hold
still
on.
here. Haven't clicked yet.
For the board on public hearing date.
You have a recommendation for the board on public hearing?
Yeah, so we do have town meeting officially set for the 25th. The warrant opens on the 19th and closes on the 2nd. So, as the board has two September meetings, and I would actually like to change those meetings, if it's all right, to the 8th, and I think the second one is, the second Monday there. It's the it's the Monday before town meeting.
Let's see if we can.
What date's the town meeting?
25th, is the town meeting the 25th?
So one is the 8th and then the 22nd?
Yeah, thank you. I would recommend the 8th for the public hearing, if that sounds good.
Okay.
I could confirm that.
Okay, so we're in September, right?
September 8th for the public
And
hearing.
what dates are what?
So
September 8th would be for the public hearing.
Public hearing.
Joe, could you make September 8th?
I have to make your public hearing. I will do anything else to make the MBTA public hearing. It is
Sure.
the most important thing in my year.
Okay, that's
Okay.
good, but
Thank
I
you.
guess that means you don't have any crazy trips planned to the Galapagos or anything like that. You anticipate being in America.
Correct.
And the meeting itself is what day?
The 8th and the 22nd, well, the public hearing's the 8th, and then the next meeting's the 22nd,
22nd?
in September.
That's the town meeting.
The town meeting's the 25th.
Wait a minute.
The town meeting is September 25th,
Oh,
The Thursday, it's a different, yeah.
Thursday evening at 7 p.m.
So let's think about this. If you're putting your public hearing on September 8th, that means the advertisement has to go in the paper, what is it, 2 weeks before that?
Yep.
Which is this week?
Oh.
No, next week.
Okay, which are you going to be able to get the ad in? Write the ad and send it into them in time for it to appear then?
Now there.
Chair,
You're gonna have a final, are you gonna have a final version of the bylaw, so I can write the legal ad?
Yes, that's the thing. The language of the bylaw obviously doesn't have to appear in the ad, but the language needs to be ready and available for inspection by the public when the ad goes in. So that's our drop dead date for finalizing this language about single family being in here or not, is when the ad appears.
I just want to, Lori, as our select person, Lori had made a brief comment. Go ahead, Lori.
yeah. Okay, so the select board is avoiding the 22nd and 23rd, which is why we're meeting on the 24th. The water department is meeting on the 8th at 7. So my suggestion would be, I mean, you're not held to anything, and this is obviously up to all of you, but perhaps the 15th might be the better date, if you could, for the public hearing on many counts. And then you should be okay with between the opening being the 19th and the closing being the 2nd. Would that help you, Joe? Do you think that that would be better for getting the verbiage that you want if it was, the public hearing was a week later on the 15th?
The changes I need,
Because we'll have to have final. for
I'm
the
good.
hearing.
Neither of those dates impose a burden on me. I think I can make the September 8th just fine. Well, let's do September 8th, September 20 something. Yeah, even then, I think we'd have no problem getting an answer and having the final language ready to go in time for the ad.
Well, it's up to the board. I just gave you my 2 cents.
And then Lori has
Thank you, Lori.
suggested due to some other town business,
14th to the 15th.
we would have our meeting on the 15th. How does that work?
Our meeting or?
Our meeting, which is gonna be the public hearing for the MBTA community strip.
Oh, so the 8th meeting will not be anything? Nothing on the 8th?
We would move it from the 8th a week later to the 15th.
Okay.
Would we be having a regular meeting on the 8th?
I think we would move the meeting on the
If you
8th.
want,
so
you can
nothing.
have them both, but have your public hearing on the 15th. Is my recommendation. You can do what you want.
Okay.
You think we will be having a meeting on the 8th, but it won't be the public hearing?
No
Right,
meeting on
that'd
the
be
8th.
planning board
meeting on the 8th.
meeting.
No
right.
meeting on the 8th.
Okay.
No meeting at all on the 8th?
I'd say let's do it, I guess, no, I'd say no meeting on the 8th.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah.
just focus on the 15th.
Okay.
Hopefully if we have any business, we may be able to take care of it.
Mhm.
We've
Yeah,
done
we
it
would-
before. We've had
Right.
public hearing and also business.
Sure. I guess it
Yeah.
depends on the length.
Would we start the usual time, 6:30? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Does that work thus far for your calendars as you know it?
Yes, I know it, yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think we're okay with that. Beth, is there any other timing that we need to? Okay.
Yeah, I will, actually probably need a vote to actually get the, amendment onto the warrant from the planning board, and I don't know at what point you wanna do that. It closes September 2nd. Your next meeting is August 25th, so if we wanted to wait, we'd have all the answers and you could vote to move it to the warrant, so I can bring it to the select board.
Okay.
On the 25th.
On the 25th.
So on the 25th, we'll do that, yeah.
Of this month?
Correct.
We're
Yeah,
doing what?
unrelated.
We'll have another planning board meeting on the 25th
Okay.
of August.
So you can
Of
put it on
August,
the thing and put it on the warrant.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. I think we're officially good now, Joe.
Okay. All right. Very good. I think you'll be I'll get the next versions out to you, making those changes. And we talked about putting all of this, putting all of the standards, everything Robert wanted to see into the site plan approval. We've got this section E development standards. I think I think you'll be happy with what I do with that when you see the next version. I'll put a little bit of reference into that, and it'll just make those site plan approval regs that much stronger for you. Okay?
Great. Thank
Great.
you,
Nice
Joe.
talking to you all.
Thank you.
Thank
You've
you.
been a big help, I'll tell you. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. All right, let's keep going. So
Okay.
that's 2.1. We've done 1.4, 2.1, 3.1, the mandatory referral from the zoning board of appeals for 159 Brookline. Did you guys get a chance? It looks relatively straightforward. I don't,
Change of use, basically,
Yeah.
yeah. It's labeling, relabeling, what originally was assigned to it, to the special permit. Just changing it to, a long-term rental, which is calling it what it is, the actual use. It was an old special permit and the cabins were listed as hotel, and they're not. They're actually long-term rentals, so
Okay.
this was just an attempt to correct the special permits. And I think it's gonna be a matter of strictly striking, the first condition on the special permit.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, that sounds simple.
so no comments from the board?
No.
Okay, all right, excellent. Do you need a vote? You don't need a vote on
So,
that.
I do have one question. Because the ZBA is holding the public hearing on 3 September, if we vote tonight on whatever and something changes at that public meeting, does that do anything to our vote?
I'm not sure what you're voting on.
Or,
I think, so no different than when we get those referral documents.
oh, okay.
I think this is just an ask for if we have any comment.
Okay,
And then certainly if any new information comes up to them in their meeting, we wouldn't necessarily be aware, but we are aware that they're having one.
okay, then I'm good with whatever.
Okay, all right. So we'll go for no comment on that from the planning board. 12 Ball Road Cell Tower Permit Extension through the Mass Permit Extensions Act.
Oh, yeah. I did read that, yeah.
That's just
So,
a formality.
that's just, yeah,
Formality
Yeah.
essentially.
That's fine.
yeah.
Okay, and conveniently, I already signed it.
Thank you.
So, I think we're good there. Let's see, so regulation revisions. I did not have a chance to go through all of these with as fresh of a mind, so I'd prefer to postpone these.
Okay,
But I'm happy if you guys had any thoughts or comments.
I haven't had a chance to look at it.
No, I haven't either.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I only did I kind of glanced through them.
all right, so
So what
we'll
are the-
postpone that.
So if I could, one of the thoughts was, at that public hearing on the 15th, if the board has any regulation changes, that could be included in that public hearing, and we would save the cost of postage. That was kind of my thought process. Now, these are design standards, so we're gonna need your expertise.
Oh, boy.
So you need to read them really good, Robin,
This is no drill.
All right,
because you're the designer.
all right.
Now, yeah, maybe
So-
it's too much for you to tackle right now, but it's kind of came to mind where, to your comment, it's not gonna be the exciting special town meeting. Another thing the board could consider is, one of these older amendments that has been sitting on the books and not really taken care of, bringing it forward at this public hearing. If it's an easy amendment that you've had kind of in your mind, I know you've offered a few, remember, the amendments a while ago.
Right,
Maybe there's something like that we could add to the mix and put it in.
so we want that for the next meeting.
Well, if you can do, yeah, design standards, because we could include that on a public hearing.
Okay,
But the other idea was. the
Yeah, we
amendments.
get it done.
So Rob,
yeah,
just to read you briefly, right? So under the design standards, it says the general design of all subdivisions shall be consistent with the goals of the town's master plan with the character of the immediate neighborhood. So that, right off the bat, I think that's working towards what you've been
What we're
talking
trying to
about.
do, yes.
And I think definitely if
We just add more specific things, I think, to it.
within reason that's legally allowed to us, we
Right, I
certainly
agree.
can't prescribe,
All right,
needs to
so
be brick or.
I need to do this prior to what date?
2 weeks, so 25th.
the
Yes,
25th of
yes,
August.
That would be great.
So we'll give we'll call it out now, the three that we're gonna try to work on, which are, as listed in the agenda, 175-14, plans for a definite subdivision, 175-15, required submissions for definite subdivisions, and 175-16, design standards.
Right.
I
Okay,
have printouts of at least these two, 14 and 15, if anybody wants to take printouts home.
I have
Would you
them.
like a printout, Robert?
say what?
Would you like a printout?
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
it
let me
easier.
get
Yes.
you one, yeah, let me get
I
you
would- I
one
would too, thank you.
75-16.
Okay.
Well, you guys are finishing up,
Okay,
because I don't think I have one.
and even though I know Beth is working through that, next up is the administrative updates and reports.
There's a lot.
Do you want me to try to read it while you're going through that? Okay, you go ahead.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
I just updated the board. I did have the opportunity to go through some older permits. And I do have notes in here about compliance in terms of permitting. Let's see, the planning assistance grant, you can read that and discuss it at another meeting. Next steps for the economic development grant. Would you like me to invite MRPC planner Tracy Murphy to the next meeting to have like a next step session?
Right, I would, yes.
Yeah, okay, I'll
Yeah.
definitely do that. Let's see, planning board application, I'm working on the new floodplain permit process because the maps were approved. This is kind of an important update. The zoning amendments to accessory dwelling units and site plan approval approved on January 28th town meeting. The Attorney General has yet to approve those, so they're still out there in space. It's been almost 8 months,
No,
you know?
Oh.
So anyway, it is what it is, but there is a comment in your notes about that. Master plan update. If you could think with me on this one about the best practice on updating that master plan so that we can do it not only with the goals from the energy committee, but for any other amendments. I want to do it systematically, but I'm not sure how to tackle it. So anybody can kind of help me out with that. And I think that is all that I was kind of announced. And I'll go get that for that. Copy to you.
Does anyone have any thoughts on how, maybe systematically to go about updating the master plan?
I don't know.
Maybe I can ask Beth to have a separate email chain about that, where she
Yeah,
just sends it
I
out.
think
Well, I
so.
know the energy section is gonna be,
Yeah,
they're gonna, update that section, the energy people?
You
So
wanna
they
do-
came while you were away,
Yeah.
and when we reviewed, I believe we voted and approved the updates that they had,
Okay,
those that were here. But we did acknowledge that we thought that would be of particular interest to you. And I can't remember exactly why or what you've done something with it or related, maybe you haven't. There was some component where we thought Carol would like this and be interested in this.
it might be, but.
We felt like we had enough.
You should
that
have
was
just gone,
then.
you should have just gone and,
Well, we did. We felt like we had enough
Okay.
agreement on the board that we
Yeah,
did approve it.
and, so who's physically updating the master plan to incorporate those changes? How does it physically get updated now with those
I
changes?
suspect that it would be Beth as the admin of the planning board, and to which it's the planning board's responsibility to oversee that, maybe?
I don't know. I mean, because that's, I mean, if it's been approved, they need to be.
Or even if it's been modified or altered, people have to know.
You know, incorporate it and then upload it to wherever it gets uploaded to, but
Sure,
I don't
sure.
know I don't know how the mechanics of that work.
When Beth comes back in, I think you can ask her, but I think I'll also ask her to send out in an email specific to us, just the master plan, we can review it and then come up what we think is the best way to go about updating it.
I will say on my river cruise along the Columbia or Snake River, the windmills were everywhere, at the top
Really?
of the mountains.
Sure.
There's windmills everywhere. And I said, boy, does this mess up the scenery. They look so ugly. And then they said they shut them down. Once the winds hit 60 miles per hour, they all have to be shut down.
Really?
So the last, point would be communications. Hartley, do you have any?
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, we can read.
Yes, I have a
Gets
nice,
to read.
nice full folder here. Okay, folks. First of all, read this before, we'll read it again. Public notice, planning board vacancy. The Townsend Planning Board is currently accepting volunteer response forms for the following. One planning board member to serve for 1 year until the next annual town election, April 27th, 2026, with an option at that time to file nomination papers to run for an elected position on the board. The planning board is responsible for hearing and approving subdivisions, site plan review, approval not required A&R lots, and applications under the Scenic Roads Act. The board also serves as the Stormwater Authority, oversees updating the town's master plan, and makes decisions and recommendations required by the town's zoning bylaws and the State Zoning Act regarding zoning amendments and rezoning petitions. The planning board meets in person at Memorial Hall, augmented with TCAM hosted Zoom meetings at 6:30 p.m., usually the second and fourth Mondays of the month, or may schedule an additional meeting if needed. Volunteer response forms are available online at www.townsendma.gov. Click on the Jobs and Volunteering button. All interested parties are encouraged to apply by completing a form and submitting it online or to the Townsend Select Board. We welcome adults age 18 and older from all backgrounds to join this dynamic and exciting board. Training is available, and we encourage everyone to apply.
Okay.
Town of Shirley Planning Board legal advertisement. Town of Shirley's Planning Board will conduct a public hearing at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, at the Town Office Building, 7 Keating Way, Shirley, Massachusetts. Application submitted by Markdale LLC, 25 Main Street, Shirley, Massachusetts. A public hearing for a site plan review per Section 7 of the protective zoning bylaws for change in use. The applicant wants to open a takeout restaurant. The parcel is located at 25 Main Street, Shirley, Massachusetts. Parcel IDs 16C5 in the Shirley Village Business District. Copy of this application can be obtained from the town clerk. Please check the Town of Shirley website for full agenda, possible virtual information, updates and/or changes, or call the office. Chair of Planning Board, Sarah Whiting. Okay, Town of Shirley Zoning Board of Appeals. A public hearing was held on Monday, July 7th, 2025 at 7 p.m., at which a decision was reached. The applicant, Martin Karanja and Talu Mugambi, if I'm pronouncing those right, came seeking a variance per section 3.32C2 of the Town of Shirley's protective zoning bylaws. Legal Act. The Town of Shirley's Zoning Board of Appeals will conduct, well, I already did have that meeting on July 7th. Do I need to read that?
Nope.
Okay. Just finish up here. In arriving at its decision, the Zoning Board of Appeals considered the comments submitted by the Town of Shirley boards, commissions, and departments per the procedural requirements described in section 9.2.4 of the protective zoning bylaws, as well as the materials provided by the applicant, their engineers, and conversations via telephone and email with representatives. These items are part of the public record and included with the minutes of the public hearings or by request. Comments received from the town boards, commissions, and departments are as follows. The Board of Health, no comments. Fire Department, no comments. Water District, no comments. Building Inspector, the offsets for the lot are 15 feet for all sides, front and rear. This should provide enough space to put the shed in the rear of the lot. Conservation Commission, not within the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. Tax Collector, Real Estate and Trash, all good. Sewer Commission, no comments, in good standing with the Sewer Commission. Findings as a result of oral comments and written submissions. The Board of Appeals made the following findings. Number one, the applicant provided all necessary documents and the plan for layout and addressed the reason for the placement of the shed in the planned location. Number two, no abutters have expressed concern for the placement of the shed. Number three, the shed is considered a temporary structure because it will be placed on gravel, not a foundation. Decision, a motion made by Mr. Swain to approve the variance section 3.3.2C2 of the protective zoning bylaws relating to maximum side yard setback for the property at 4 Nonesuch Way as presented 1 foot off the property line for a temporary structure, seconded by Vice Chair Guercio. The roll call vote was taken. Chair Kelly voted yes. Vice Chair Guercio voted yes. Mr. Swain voted yes. Mr. Sears voted yes. Mr. McCovitt voted yes. Motion passed unanimously, 5-0. Any person aggrieved by this decision may appeal to a court of competent jurisdiction pursuant to MGL Chapter 40A, Section 17, and shall be filed within 20 days after the date of filing of such notice in the office of the town clerk. And this ends with the various town officials and their signatures. And I think that's all I have for tonight. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Harley.
Thank
You're most welcome.
I think you've probably heard this before. You could be an announcer.
Well, that's why I have my radio job, to tune up for these meetings.
Excellent. Okay, I believe that's everything. I don't know if, Beth, is there anything you're aware of that we may be missing that you needed a decision or a vote? Nope. Okay. Like to entertain a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you guys very much.
You're very welcome.
Andrew,
Yes, Lori.
did you ask the question about the update on the master plan?
I did not, so,
Beth?
Lori, we had a question while you were, or, sorry, not Lori, Beth, while you were away, Carol was asking
How the master plan
how
gets
the
up.
master plan does get updated? Is it you? Is it who does the updating?
It's been me in the past, but I didn't like the way it was done, so I wanted to have the discussion and make sure that it's done, like, it's indexed properly, you know what I mean? So I could use a professional input on that. I don't want it to be haphazardly, adding a PDF, So that's where my head's at. Just want to make sure that we have a process,
Yeah,
because it's going to happen down the road a few more times
Mhm.
before we have, a total update, I guess. So, yeah, I guess maybe consulting with somebody who does planning documents and talk about how to do it in an organized way. And then I would like to bring out another sheet for all of you to sign because you approved the amendment and that kind of thing. So it's new to me, gotta be honest, so.
Do we have the funds to approach someone to consult us on that, or would that be supported by Lori?
Maybe.
So that's what-
Okay, so if we go back to when we had, Carol, I don't know if you were on the board then or not, when we had the master plan committee.
Yes.
Okay. And then of course it was Lance and Veronica, and there was a big group originally. Anyway, that process took 2.5, 3, almost 4 years, because it took 5 years to get the approval from the time we
Yep.
started it. And we didn't want to go through that again. So we had discussed in the board that we would periodically take a section and do the section and update one section and send that to the state, meaning that our plan would always have some adjustment and it would never be 5 years late again. We ended up with the MBTA, and so that took up most of our time basically in meetings and stuff rather than working on the master plan. So I think that some guidance has to come as to what portion of it do you want to tackle, and then you, the board, would approve it. It doesn't go to anybody else to approve, and then you send that portion to the state and then see if you get the update approved. I can't remember if we did, Beth, did we have a public hearing when we did master plan?
No, and,
So, 'cause it,
the plan does not go to the state. I don't know, Lori, if you already know, but the board did approve, the changes. They do have some in process. It's already been
Right, we
approved.
did
It's just
start
that I
with-
need to know how to implement it. That's all I'm talking about now. We have an approval, we have a vote, I have a document, you know, basically what they approved. I just want to make sure I put it into the master plan in an organized way and index it.
what did we
Okay, this-
wait so long for to get the approval from the state?
We don't have any approval from the state. There's no requirement at all for a state approval for this document,
Am I confusing it with the charter?
probably. And no, there never was a state approval for a master plan.
Okay. I
I think that the state approval is required for the language of the zoning bylaw change.
yeah,
No.
I understand that, but Robert, you were on when we did the master plan.
Yes, we did sections of it. We
Yeah.
did,
But
We
those
had-
are the updates after the plan was approved. Beth, I don't know, I'd have to look at the meetings, and Lance was chairing then when we did it and when we had the board.
no, you were on, you were chair.
Yeah, I was on, but Lance was the chair. It was a very frustrating time for us. Yes, Lance was the chair when we had
I
the
was a
master plan
member,
committee.
When I was a member.
Yeah,
So
you,
that's how long it took for the plan to
Right, so
be developed.
I didn't become a member until Laura was chair.
So,
oh,
So
let
we
me ask-
worked on sections then.
yes,
So if-
we did. That was after after the first committee, and we decided we were gonna do it ourselves.
Right.
Carol's got a question.
So is the energy section, is this a brand new section or is it an update to an existing section?
Well, he took the master plan and basically put it into Word. So the gentleman, Mr. Brown, came in and he actually went into the document, put it into Word and inserted the edits, and then the board discussed it and approved all of them except for one, strikeout.
Okay.
So now I'm a little confused because I guess I have to go back and put the master plan into Word and incorporate them, or you're pretty good at planning documents. Maybe you and I can sit down and
Sure, I
read
could-
this out.
Yeah, I could do that.
I
Oh, thank
remember,
you.
I
was just
remember
thinking
some
of that.
specific
Well,
articles.
only
we went
because I
through.
did the open space and recreation plan
Right.
for years. It
That would
seemed
be
like years and years and years it took to get that plan approved.
Yeah, I know
yeah.
you're great with documentation. I just want to do it right. I mean, I don't necessarily have to go and put it in the whole master plan, which is 300 pages, into Word and then start messing around.
No, but is it in Word now?
Well, apparently it is with, yeah, somewhere. It would be somewhere.
Well,
Right,
who
so
has the
we
master?
took
plan,
specific
master plan?
articles and edited them and modified them.
mhm.
So I think, let's stay on track a little bit, because I don't want to go till 9. So Beth has asked for help, and I think Carol has offered it, per se.
Yeah, I'll come sit with
We'll
you.
figure it out.
Carol will help
Yeah.
Beth.
Okay.
I think right now we'll focus on getting the MBTA community stuff done. I think Lori's point, about making sure we are reviewing it and updating it. I mean, fortunately, we did update the energy stuff at our last meeting. I think once we clear from the, MBTA stuff, then that'll give us a chance to continue with bylaw review and continue with the master plan. And we'll find some section to bite off. Keep it-
You might want to, as chairman, you might want to, some of the modifications we made came from different departments.
Sure, yeah,
And then you might, want to assign
sure,
individuals, so, and get them initially to do an overview and.
sure. Yeah, I think that's fine, I think that's fair, I think we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So let's, I think, because I know we did have a motion to adjourn, but we did continue meeting business, so let's do
Yeah.
another motion to adjourn.
Adjourn. We'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:21.
8:21,
I second the motion.
second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and the meeting is adjourned.